Hello and Minglaba, welcome to MI Radio's Myanmar Today. I'm Henry Zin. Precautionary measures against COVID-19 to be still in effect until the 15th of July. Total number of COVID-19 cases have reached 299, but with 218 recoveries. A report on South Oklahoma Women and Children Hospital receiving hygiene equipment. And a story coverage on the Ministry of Hotels and Tourism cooperating with Ministry of Health and Sports on Myanmar Tourism Relief Plan. All of these reports coming up later on Myanmar Today, but for now, let's take a look at what's happening in local news. State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi wrote on her Facebook page on Saturday that, quote, "We didn't feel small for our country in combating COVID, and we could conspicuously confront the challenges even though we weren't among the wealthiest countries in the region." The state councillor stressed that it's not unusual COVID issue was overwhelming in a round of discussions at the ASEAN Summit meetings the other day. They were emphasizing upon how to better handle the post-COVID consequences in the future while tackling the current challenges. The entire world was thinking similarly, and it was of vital importance to realize the same concept. Discussing women's affairs, they touched on the COVID impacts upon women and the roles of women in rehabilitating the post-COVID period. It's announced that the statements to publics, orders, notifications, and directives excluding eased restrictions of the union-level organizations and union ministries effective until 30th of June for prevention, control, and treatment of coronavirus disease will be extended to 15th of July, as it is required to continue containment of coronavirus disease. A total of 366 Myanmar migrant workers returned home through the Myawaddy Friendship Bridge 2 in Myawaddy, Kayin State on Sunday. With permission from the Myanmar Embassy in Thailand, they came back by their own schedules. Kayin State Lutto Representative U Tan Sin Aung and other officials performed medical checks and assisted the returnees with other arrangements upon their arrival. The returnees consist of 208 men and 158 women. A total of 35,945 returnees have entered from this crossing since the 1st of May. Deputy Minister U Min Jain of the Ministry of Labour, Immigration and Population said with the suspension or withdrawal of more than 5,700 factories, workplaces and restaurants, more than 140,000 people have become unemployed during the coronavirus pandemic. In addition, over 250 big factories and workplaces are also shut down. The Deputy Minister said at the press briefing on the government's fourth-year performances held at the Ministry of Information in Naypyidaw last Friday. He added, during the pandemic period, the ministry took legal action in respect of 25 cases concerning the factories and workplaces for disobedience of government instructions. Additionally, the workers who have come back from abroad are getting registered in the related regional labor offices to seek a job. From March to June, during the pandemic period, more than 110,000 repatriates came back from Thailand, Korea, Japan, and China. Sagaing Region Minister for Agriculture, Livestock and Irrigation, U Kamsan Mon, said they are implementing a 4-year plan to reclaim terrace farms on 293 acres of Naga Self-Administered Zone from 2019 to 2022, 2022 to 2023 financial year, using sloping agricultural land technology. The minister said the people of Naga region use nomadic farming techniques that damage forests and can cause a loss of topsoil in the long run that will make farming more difficult. He said this plan aims to form a modern stepped farm system that will make farming possible for a longer time and keep the region lush and green. The Sagaing region government has funded 36 acres of pilot farmlands from the 2017 to 2018 financial year to this day. The Posts and Telecommunications Department has announced that unregistered SIM cards will be revoked by 30th of June. If the SIM cards are revoked, the outstanding balance from those SIM cards will be transferred to the government's account. To use the bonus given by the operation continuously and not to lose the balance from your phone, Telenor Myanmar urged people to re-register their phones not later than 30th of June. According to PTD, every SIM card must be registered with a national identity card for Myanmar citizens and passport for foreigners. Individual SIM card users can hold only 2 SIM cards for each operator. All Myanmar mobile operators must follow the same instructions operators are prohibited from allowing customers to use SIM cards without approving their national identities or allowing them to use more than 2 SIM cards with one national identity card. That's all with the local news. Let's take a look at the first report now. The government announced to extend the remaining period of precautionary measures against COVID-19 from 30th of June to 15th of July. Although statistics show that the increasing positive cases are from overseas returnees, the government still bans any festivities and puts in place the remaining restrictions. With the easing of some restrictions for economic recovery and livelihood of people, it is to make sure to control the possible second wave of COVID-19. Thora Swizin and Soyedana report.
The National Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of COVID-19 released an announcement stating that the remaining precautionary measures against COVID-19 will be extended to be in effect until 15 July. The committee, where State Councillor Do Aung San Suu Kyi is serving as the chairperson, reviewed the COVID-19 situation in the country and releases the decision towards the precautionary measures and restrictions announced. Starting from May, the government has allowed relaxing some of the restrictions, including the opening of restaurants, the operation resuming of workplaces, lifting stay-at-home plan in townships, and reopening of the government school. The remaining precautionary measures include ban of gathering of more than 5 people for any events or festivals, the closures of cinema, hostels and kindergartens, and the suspension of flights from foreign countries is still in effect until the end of July.
At present, it is rainy season and it needs to be aware of seasonal flu. Moreover, many overseas returnees are still coming back through border gates, and the government has to deal with the illegal entrance. So I think it is not quite clear about the control of the virus spread within the country, so that the government extends some remaining restrictions, especially huge festivities. But as the time passes, we can see many people not following basic health guidelines, such as wearing masks or practicing social distancing. For my township, we occasionally take actions against those failing to wear masks. Even we have fewer cases for local transmission, we still have to be aware of the second wave.
Said Utanaiu Region Lotto representative from Babadan Constituency 1. Because of the calm situation of local transmission, as well as because of the reason for livelihood, the people are running daily routine as normal. The businesses have resumed operation with accelerated momentum to catch up with the situation before. However, the public is still not accustomed to new normal lifestyle because of lack of self-awareness, as well as because of impossible circumstances.
We have to carry out every possible preventive measures as much as we can. You have to take example of our neighboring countries such as India and Bangladesh. When the positive cases are rising, if we weak in following the preventive measures, it can lead to the spread of the virus. So I suggest the extension of precautionary measures is a good point. However, on the other side, we cannot follow the business health guidelines all the time. For example, going to work and walking at the limited speeds will not give the chance for social distancing.
Social distancing 3 ပေ 6ပေကွာဝေးမဟုတ်ဘူးဆိုရင်တော့အဲ့လိုချိန်မျိုးမှာတော့နည်းနည်းလေးအခက်အခဲတွေရှိတာပေါ့နော်
Said Dr. Situlin, a specialist from Yangon Workers Hospital. The state councillor always warned about the possible second wave of the virus, as the government is trying to ensure the economy and education to get back to normal situation.
ပြည်တွင်းမှာတော့မရှိတော့ပဲပြည်ပဝင်လာတဲ့သူတွေရှိမှရှိနေတယ်
At present, since the positive cases are among the overseas returnees, the local residents seem to be very careless. I want to suggest not staying incautious If much more people going out without wearing masks or following any health guidelines, another virus outbreak can be much more serious. We have made great effort in controlling first wave by staying at home for days, so don't let those efforts to be in vain.
ဆက်ပြီးထိမ့်သိမ့်ပါဆက်ပြီးတော့ဒါကြီးကိုလည်းကာကွယ်ကြပါလို့ဟုတ်
said model and actor Thung Koko, who is actively participating in social works on activities against COVID-19. The state councillor on her Facebook profile that the country does not feel small in combating COVID-19. Despite being the developing country, it was possible to conspicuously confront the challenges, so it is necessary to move forward in a middle way, like as saying extremes are dangerous. She encouraged the citizens to share understanding and empathy more to each other when going through the journey of battling COVID-19.
That's a report on the precautionary measures against COVID-19, which is to be still in effect until the 15th of July. We'll move on to the next report. Myanmar reported that the total number of COVID-19 cases have reached 299, including 6 deaths and 218 recoveries, and the government restrictions will be still in effect until 15th of July. The current COVID-19 situation is in a controlled manner, and it's been over 17 days without the local transmission in the country since the 9th of June. Pyo Tiritu and Pomo will tell us more.
Myanmar reported that the total number of COVID-19 cases was brought to 299, including 6 deaths and 280 recoveries. The government restrictions will be still effective until 15 of July. The current COVID-19 situation is in a controlled manner, and it's been over 17 days without local transmission in the country since 9th June. The government is also controlling and checking the returnees at the borders gates, and they will have to stay at the related quarantine centers. Speaking to Amai Radio through the phone interview about the current COVID-19 cases in the township and the current situation in the country, Uwe Pyohan, Region Hlotto representative from Insane Township, said.
There are a total of 36 recovered people among 44 confirmed cases. They are all in good health situation now, and the rest of the people are at Pongji Medical Center. We have to protect ourselves from the second wave infection. We have seen a lot of people at the tea shops and restaurants as usual. We have arranged enough hand wash basins in every place in the township. We also did the spraying pesticide and some protection in the schools with the help of volunteers. People participation is very important in protection.
Meanwhile, precautionary measures and travel bans continue to negatively impact wholesale and retail trade, tourism-related services, and transportation. The businesses and some workplaces have started since the mid-June. With the new normal lifestyle, some workplaces have started with the new working styles. Some industries have changed totally and face some difficulties in the workplaces. Ma Imo, who is the business development manager from the Amara Digital Marketing Agency, spoke about how the COVID-19 situation changed the business lifestyle in the new normal lifestyle. She said,
Amara ကတော့အစတွေကတော့ဒီ COVID စဖြစ်နေတခြားနေရာတွေမှာစဖြစ်နေရတော့ဒီဂျုံတွေမှာ internet plan တွေဆွဲနေတာတွေတော့ရှိရပေါ့နော်
When the government has announced the notice of all the COVID-19 virus, we have already prepared for our office plan. Suddenly, the virus broke out in the country, and it didn't handle so much in our workplace. All the workers have to work as a new format of work from home since the government announced to stop some business. The workers are still working from home, and they all have to come to office from July. Work from home is also a good improvement in our workplace, and MoHS to communicate through the internet and from the social apps. Even the workers do not see outside, they can keep in touch with each other. We can definitely say when the business will recover because it depends on the types of the business. After staying and working at home for about 2 months, some workers are more active, fresh and creative, and they feel like they are new to this workplace again. With regard to the guideline of the Ministry of Health and Sport, we put the hand sanitizers and we ask them to wear the mask in the office and we measure their temperature.
Because of the COVID-19 cases, most of the service businesses, which have to connect with a lot of people and customers, have to stop for a while. Ujodu, founder of Free Funeral Service Society Yangon, spoke to My Radio how the services are going. He said,
အခုလိုကိုဗစ်ဖြစ်လာတဲ့အချိန်ကြတော့ကျွန်တော်လူစုလူဝေးကိုအတတ်နိုင်ဆုံးရှောင်ရတယ်။တတ်နိုင်ဆုံးရှောင်တော့ကျွန်တော်ပညာရေးကဏ္ဍကိုကျွန်တော်ခဏနားထားတာအခုဆို2လကျော်ပြီပေါ့လေ။
In the COVID-19 period, we have to avoid the crowded places as much as we can. That's why we had to stop some educational and vocational courses, and it's been for 2 months. At first, we also stopped the clinic, but we reopened back for our old patients. But we only let them come into the compound by washing hands and measuring temperatures. As a funeral service, we have to deal with the dead bodies. We have to carry the COVID-19 suspected patients from the related hospitals. During the time, the volunteers have to wear PPE and masks and face shields to prevent the infection of the COVID-19. During this period, we have to work with our groups on a rotation basis. Our services are not much affected, but we urge the volunteers to stay healthy and strong to prevent the infections as we have to deal with a lot of people every day. We also clean the ambulances with the pesticides.
The most recent cases detected over the past several weeks have been from returnees who are undergoing facility quarantines. From May 16 to June 24th, a total of 107 returnees have tested positive for COVID-19, according to the Ministry of Health and Sports. Yangon has the highest number of COVID-19 patients among the regions and states of the country with 207 COVID-19 cases, and Kayin State ranks second with 25. Gaya State is the only region in Myanmar with no reported case. The global pandemic has spread to 188 countries, killing over 499,000 people and afflicting over 9,994,000 million people, according to Johns Hopkins Coronavirus Resource Center.
That's a report on the total number of COVID-19 cases that have reached 299 in Myanmar, but with 218 recoveries. More reports coming up on Myanmar Today. Stay with us. South Oklahoma Women and Children Hospital received hygiene equipment from donors last Friday, which is worth more than $10,000 in cash. The South Oklahoma Women and Children Hospital is one of the 3 hospitals in Yangon where COVID-19 infected patients are kept and given medical treatment, and it is also one of the quarantine centers in Yangon. Pure TV2 and Willinson have the details.
In the fight of COVID-19, cleanliness has become one of the most important aspects of taking measurement to prevent the spread of COVID-19, especially in the hospitals where the virus-infected patients are given medical treatment and in quarantine centers. As disinfecting the hospitals are in need of proper tools and equipment in cleaning the hospital wards and spraying disinfectant. Therefore, with the aim to help the hospitals overcome some of these challenges, South Oklahoma Women and Children Hospital received hygiene equipment from the donors on 26 June, which is worth more than $10,000 in cash. This South Oklahoma Women and Children Hospital is one of the 3 hospitals in Yangon where COVID-19 infected patients are kept and given medical treatment, and this is also one of the quarantine centers in Yangon. Dr. Mo is the medical superintendent of South Oklahoma Women and Children Hospital, and speaking to my radio on the receiving ceremony of hygiene equipment, he said,
"ဒီကိုဗစ်ကာလမှာဆိုကျွန်တော်တို့ကပို့ပြီးတော့ဂရုစိုက်ရတယ်ပေါ့နော်။ဂရုစိုက်ရတယ်ဆိုတာကျွန်တော်တို့
In this time of COVID-19, we are taking serious measures more than ever to prevent the spread of the virus. In doing so, cleanliness also plays an essential role. Therefore, we are deeply grateful for what we have received today. I will also say that we want to say a word of thanks to the donors on behalf of the Ministry of Health and Sports. We haven't received any kind of donation in this hospital, and this is the first donation we have received. The equipment received today are really useful tools for hospital. We have a program which is called IPC, Infection Prevention and Control. We usually use soap and water or sanitizers which contain more than 60% alcohol in this process of prevention measures. But most of these practices are only meaningful for personal protection. For the best prevention of the virus, we need more of well-equipped hospitals where mass protection measures can be carried out in a short time.
As this hospital is one of the 3 hospitals in Yangon where the infected patients and quarantined people are kept, it has now 25 virus-infected patients in this hospital. Once the virus-infected patient shows the negative results twice, then that patient is discharged from the hospital, but the discharged person still have to go through quarantine procedures for another 2 weeks at Paungji Medical Center. And then if there is no sign of the infection during the time, the person can leave for home. However, another 1 week of homestay is mandatory for a person who has become discharged from Paungji Medical Center. Speaking on the current situation of the virus in Myanmar, Dr. Win Mo also said,
All I
can tell to the public is not to be worried, but also be worried. The reason as COVID-19 is fast infected virus, we are so worried of the possible second wave of this virus. It has become a huge burden for health workers like us because we are doing all that we can and giving the best with limited resources we have. We can replace these health workers with ordinary people. So my request to the public is to follow all the restrictions put forward by the Ministry of Health and Sports for the good of all and for the sake of health workers.
Dr. Omaton is the chairperson of Rotary Club Yangon, and she also spoke on why her organization chose to donate hygiene equipment, and she said,
အဲ့တော့ဘာမှမဆို virus တွေပါလေပြန့်ပွားတယ်ဆိုတာမတန့်ရှင်းလို့ပိုးတတ်အောင်တေးအောင်မတတ်နိုင်လို့အဲ့ဒါကြောင့်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့တော့သူတို့ဒါလေးလိုချင်ပါတယ်တဲ့ဆိုပြီးတော့အဲ့ဒီဟိုစာကျမတို့ရဲ့အသင်းဝင်တယောက်ကိုပြောတယ်
I was once informed by a person from this hospital that they were in need of hygiene equipment for the protection of the virus in the hospital. And we also feel that cleanliness and disinfection are such essential areas to cap the spread of the virus. One of the main reasons why the virus spread so easily is an hygienic environment, and we are not able to do proper disinfection. This is the reason why we decided to donate this hygiene equipment for this hospital.
This is news reporting from Myanmar Radio. I am Kyoti Ritu.
We have one last report on tourism relief plan. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Over $532.231 million of national revenue was earned from international tourists in the first half of the 2020 fiscal year, according to the Economic Impact of COVID-19 on Myanmar Tourism Sector report by the Ministry of Hotels and Tourism. Comparing with the national revenue grossed within the first half of the 2019 fiscal year, this year's dropped to about 54%, which was mentioned in the report. Pyoti Ritu has more.
There were about 400,000 entries into Myanmar in January 2020, but not even 100 in April. Currently, many places are being reopened step by step while following COVID-19 preventive and social distancing guidelines from MoHS, starting from restaurants to inns and hotels. The national revenue was at over $532.231 million from first half of 2020 fiscal year, according to the report. Economic Impact of COVID-19 on Myanmar Tourism Sector by the Ministry of Hotels and Tourism. Comparing with the national revenue growth within the first half of the 2019 fiscal year, about 54% drop mentioned in the report. A coordination meeting for national tourism guidelines for COVID-19 safe services was also held at the Ministry of Hotels and Tourism in Naypyidaw on 12 June. The union ministers from Ministry of Hotels and Tourism, the Ministry of Health and Sports, and other officials were present at the meeting. The COVID-19 Myanmar Tourism Relief Plan, based on the COVID-19 Economic Relief Plan, CERP, was drafted and it has been submitted to the National Central Committee at the meeting. U Kyaunto, Vice Chairman, Myanmar Tourism Federation, said.
ကျွန်တော်တို့ကဒီအတင်းအဖွဲ့အစည်းတွေပေါ့ညီနောင်အတင်းတွေဆက်တင်းနဲ့ပေါင်းပြီးတော့ကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီဝန်ကြီးဌာနနဲ့လည်းအနည်းကကျွန်တော်တို့ပူးပေါင်းဆောင်ရွက်နေပါတယ်
MDF and other partner federations have been working together with the relevant ministry for different kinds of improvements and recovery projects. Recovery Roadmap will be the most vital program that we have been working on right now. We'll be working on as the national guidelines on all of this coming survival, recovery, and reopening circumstances. We will also be contacting to tourism sites and other important areas such as Shan State, Mandalay, Kayin State, etc. for potential reopening and reformations with new sets of rules and measurements regarding COVID-19. Even though it is such a hard time for the tourism sector to be able to thrive in these situations, we are really hoping for to make a comeback eventually. As our neighboring countries such as Republic of Korea, China, and Thailand turns the table around to make the tourism sector well again with a breath of fresh air.
The tourism sites are going to be reopened to start domestic tourism sector for the first step. Then the regional tourism with ASEAN countries such as Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam will be promoted and developed, showing the international community for COVID-19 safe travel reason. The MoHS is also preparing for adventure tourism such as hiking, bungee jumping, and zip lining in Myanmar's natural environments as a future travel trend within coming years. The Sports Tourism Committee is cooperating with MoHS to produce the Adventure Tourism SOP. Dr. Danaiso, Director of Health Knowledge Promotion Division from MoHS, said.
COVID-19 prevention core principle
Based on the core principle of healthcare guidelines for COVID-19, the additional guidelines for different economic sectors are set off, observing the nature of respective operation. The guidelines are being discussed by the officials from hotels and tourism sector and the officials of health department from MoHS. As soon as the draft guidelines are occur, the free testing are going to launch whether it is reasonable with the actual situation while implementing. The Ministry of Health and Sports and the respective experts are organizing to fit in with the core principle of COVID-19 healthcare guidelines for each specific sectors. So not only tourism sector, but also national economy will generate under the new normal healthcare guidelines.
The rate of community and local transmissions of COVID-19 in Myanmar has decreased, although there are still transmission. So MoHS are reducing restrictions slowly based on the transmission rate of the disease, so that businesses may resume normally. And MoHS will also discuss health insurance for international tourists also. There has been inquiries to Myanmar for the next tourism season, as it was recently listed in Forbes magazine's list of 7 tourism destinations after the COVID-19 pandemic. I am Pyothi Ritu. This is news reporting from MR Radio.
That's all we have for today's reports, and here are the international news on Myanmar Today. Wearing masks is a daily reality for so many in the face of the pandemic, but it's led to a new problem: pollution. Some are improperly disposing of them, and there's fear the environment is paying the price. Let's take a look at the video.
A stroll along the shores of Hong Kong reveals more than soft sand and warm waters.
When we were out doing our research in February, and obviously we see the normal 5 sort of things: the bottles, the polystyrene, the lighters, the cutlery, the straws and things like that.
The pandemic has now added one more to the list.
We suddenly started noticing all these single-use masks, the face masks.
Gary Stokes is co-founder of Oceans Asia, a marine conservation organization. He says during a recent visit at a Hong Kong beach, they found 70 masks on just a short stretch.
I think it's a culmination of all sorts of sort of sources. I think it's from accidental dropping. People who accidentally it drops out the bag or out the pocket. Then there's the people who just discard it, or it blows off. They're sort of having something to eat on a ferry or something, and they take it off and put it on the seat next to them. The wind blows and it's gone, and then they're like, and that's another one into the water.
Some countries are already taking action. In France, the cleanup organization Operation Mer Propre released videos of recent underwater dives along the French coast. Several face masks and latex gloves are seen floating underwater.
If people weren't throwing masks on the street, we wouldn't find them in the sea, since 80% of the trash that we see in the sea comes from the land.
The issue prompted the French government to enforce fines for the littering of personal protective equipment, 135 euros, about $150.
Chinese President Xi Jinping on Sunday called on local governments to put every effort into flood-triggered natural disaster prevention and emergency response and adhere to a people-centered approach to disasters relief. As South China is experiencing an intense flood season, rainstorm alerts have been issued for 26 consecutive days in June. According to official data from last Friday, weeks of torrential rain and heavy flooding have affected more than 13.7 million people in 26 provincial-level regions, including Guangxi, Guizhou, Guangdong, Hunan, and Jiangxi, and more than 744,000 people have been relocated. In other news, President of the United States Donald Trump said on Sunday that he was never briefed on intelligence that Russians offered bounties to Taliban-linked militants for killing U.S. troops. Casualty records, however, showed that 2019 was the deadliest year for U.S. service members in Afghanistan since 2014, with 22 American troops killed. Trump's tweets echoed Saturday's White House statement on the matter, in which Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany said several senior officials had confirmed that neither Trump or Vice President Mike Pence was briefed on the intelligence. McEnany also noted that the statement, quote, does not speak to the merit of the alleged intelligence but to the inaccuracy of the New York Times story, erroneously suggesting that President Trump was briefed on this matter. France President Emmanuel Macron's centrist party received a drubbing in municipal elections on Sunday as the Greens celebrated victories in several big cities after a surge in support. Macron had hoped the elections would help anchor his young party in towns and cities across France, including Paris, ahead of an anticipated 2022 re-election bid. But aides had more recently been playing down expectations and the sweeping wins by the Greens, who in some cities joined forces with leftist allies, may compel Macron to reshuffle his government to win back disenfranchised left-wing voters. Global COVID-19 cases exceeded 10 million on Sunday, with more than 498,000 fatalities, according to the latest data by Johns Hopkins University, marking a major milestone in the spread of the respiratory disease that has so far killed almost 500,000 people in 7 months. The figure is roughly double the number of severe influenza illnesses recorded annually, according to the World Health Organization. The top 5 countries with the highest number of confirmed COVID-19 cases are the US, Brazil, Russia, India, and the UK. The milestone comes as many hard-hit countries are easing lockdowns while making extensive alterations to work and a social life that could last for a year or more until a vaccine is available. Well, that's all we have for now. Thanks for joining me on Myanmar Today. I'm Henry Zin. Stay safe and protected, everyone. I'll see you again. Goodbye.